Okay, this lesson you're going to take a look at drawing a borderline to a drawing paper. It is something that you have done in second form, and now you need to continue practicing, because every drawing that you're going to do for me will require a border and a title box onto a drawing. Okay, so after you secure your drawing paper, in this case is an A4 paper, you will be required to use a T-square, set square, ruler, a pencil. Okay, so the first thing to do is to identify the 4 corners a drawing paper has. Then you're going to use your 45-degree set square. Along with your T-square, you're going to set it, as you're appreciating here. You're going to move up until you have the 45-degree touching the upper right corner, left-hand side, corner of the drawing paper. Once you have established that point, then you draw a construction line. So that means that you won't press too much whenever you draw this line. Okay, then holding the T-square in position, you shift the position of the set square and you move on now onto your right hand side, and you repeat the same process. So I'll identify the top corner and I will draw a 45-degree line, construction lines. Okay, then we reproduce the same process, but this time you're going to do here on the lower side. So I draw the 45-degree on my right, and I draw the 45 degrees on my left hand side. And as you can see, I am using the T-square. The T-square is very essential. It will help you to produce quality of drawings and also accurate drawings. So if you can see now, we have identified, we have drawn, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 45-degree lines. So what we do now, we want to establish on the base, on the horizontal, and on the vertical, we want to set off 10 millimeters. So here on my left hand side, I'm going to use 1, which means that is 1 centimeter or 10 millimeters. Here we go. I set off 1 point that will represent 10 millimeters on the vertical, and here at the base 10 millimeters as well. Once I have obtained that point here on the base, I'm going to use my set square. I will slide my set square until I reach that point of intersection. Okay, you're going to draw a horizontal line. However, this line will be construction line. So I start here on my right hand side and I will direct myself towards the left. If you notice, it has created a point of intersection here and also another point of intersection, and that is what I'm looking for. Then I move on to my 30-60-degree set square. Okay, and it has been labeled here onto the set square itself. So I'm going to place it as you see, always using my T-square as the base. I will slide the set square to my left. I will see the point of intersection I have here, and I am going to draw a vertical line. And again, this is construction line. I will hold the set square, the T-square. I'm going to slide the set square onto my right hand side where I have seen the point of intersection, and I am going to draw a vertical. Okay, so if you have noticed, once I set the 10 millimeters at the vertical and the 10 millimeters here at the bottom, I would readily create points of intersection readily, so I do not have to measure over and over again. So what I do now, I slide my T-square up to the top and I construct that line. That line is a construction line. And as you can see, I already have the outline of the border line. So what do we do now? We move on to drawing the title box, and the title box will be drawn here to the bottom. What are the measurements that we use? So what do we do now? Here at the base, where I set the point, remember that point? Here I'm going to set off 2 millimeters. Okay, 2 millimeters, as you can appreciate. I use my T-square, I slide to that point, and I draw another construction line. Okay, I'm going to set off another point. Now I'll use that 2 millimeter, that would be 0 for me now. I set 5 millimeter. Okay, and now I reproduce the same process, which is drawing another line. Construction lines, that is. Do not allow the line to go beyond that vertical that you have, nor this vertical onto the left hand side. You want it to be precise. Okay, so I have set off 2 millimeters, 5 millimeters, and I need to reproduce that first set, which is 2 millimeters. So I go ahead and I draw 2 millimeters here to the top. Then I use my T-square and I draw that construction line. And as you can see, everything is construction lines. Good. So I have already drawn the first face, which is the border and the title box. So what I have now is to have divisions on that title box so that I can write my name, scale, date, and there on the main topic. So what do I do? The next step now is to consider the right hand side. We're going to start on the right hand side. And what do? We're going to use 6 millimeters, which represents 6 centimeter, which represents 60 millimeters. Okay, so I'm going to set off 60. I set off a point, use my set square. This time I'm going to use my 45. I'll place it upright. I use my T-square as the base, and I go right ahead and I draw. Let me cross check this again to see it's 60. Yes, it's 60. I use my set square, a vertical line. So I have my first division. Here is where I will here is where I will write my name, this section. Okay, so I set up 60. Then I go ahead and I use this as 0. And I set off now, as you can see, 4 centimeters or 40 millimeters. Okay, and I will do the same process over again, which is set square, construction line, and I draw a vertical. I go once again and I repeat the same process. Now this time again, I'll do 40 millimeters. Okay, if you take a look where the pencil is set at 40, and I draw a vertical. And there we have, guys, the outline of the borderline and the title box. So what do I have to do now? Right, so I have now to darken, or what we say highlight, using the alphabet of lines. And as you can readily recall from what you were taught in second form, we have the alphabet of lines, and the alphabet of lines is simply that or refers to the types of lines that we use. For instance, so far I have only used one type of line, which is construction line, or as you can see, a construction line will only give you the outline of a figure. So what is it that we do now? We need to highlight or use bold lines, okay, or what we know as per the alphabet of lines, object lines. So let's take a look. In this case, I'm going to use a different pencil now, still HB pencil. I am going to use now, first of all, I am going to darken the vertical on my left hand side and then the vertical on my right hand side. Then I'll proceed on to do the horizontal lines and the divisions. So let's take a look. First, we said using the T-square. See, I'm not simply holding the set square like that. I'm using the T-square as the base, the set square. And there we go ahead and we draw, pressing now slightly and rotating the pencil. First, a vertical line. Okay, and as you can see, it does not project beyond the point of intersection, and that is what we want whenever we have an outline first. So I set it on my right hand side using the t-square as the base. I hold it in position, then I go right ahead and I draw. And I know exactly, with that outline, I know exactly where I need to start, where I need to finish. Okay, so now we use the t-square to draw the horizontal. So I will draw the top one first. And I am going to do now the title box. In this case, I want the first line and the last line to be darkened, nothing else. The lines in between, which we know, we call them, based on its characteristic, we call it an object, construction line. So I will darken only the base. I know exactly where I start, and I know exactly where I am going to finish. Okay, that's one of the advantages that we have whenever we use an outline first. So it's the first one and the last one that we darken. I know exactly where I will start, and I know exactly where I will finish. Okay, there we go. So far you have seen the verticals and the horizontals. So what we do now, we need to highlight. Let me use the 45 degree. I place it upright. We need to darken the three lines, the three vertical lines that we have drawn. So I go right ahead and I darken a vertical. I move this to the second. I darken, and again I know exactly where I'm going to start and where I am going to finish. Okay, and here likewise I draw that vertical, and here we have our first paper with a neat title box and a border line. Okay, so once again we go over, we say that we used first of all 45 degrees here at the corners. Then we moved on to set off a 10 millimeter all around. We managed to draw the verticals and the horizontals. Then we use here to the bottom, we use 2 millimeters, 5 millimeters, and there on 2 millimeters to get the horizontal guidelines. Then we use, starting from the right hand side, we set off 60 millimeters, 40 millimeters, and 40 millimeters. So just to show you, I will use my ruler, and we are using the centimeters. 6 centimeters, as you can appreciate, which represents or is equal to 60. Then here, if I take a look, I have 0 to 4, which is 40 millimeters, and the same process here, which is 0 to 4 millimeters. Okay. So what do I do now? After I have drawn this, I need to fill the information that I have here onto the title box. And what do I do? This first section that I have is where you write your name. The second is where you write the scale, and the third is where you write the date, and there is a format for this. Okay, you will not come up with your own, you need to follow the given format. And the last one is where you write the topic. Okay, so here you're going to write the information on this pertinent section. If you can recall, we use the Gothic style of lettering. Okay, I'm sure you guys can recall that we use the Gothic lettering style. Another thing that you were given practice, I'm sure that you were given practice in second form, was using freehand to write. This is very key to have a clean drawing. Okay, so here we need to write using our capital letters Gothic. You will write here on this space. I'm going to use my other pencil. It's the same type, it's HB. It's just different colors, that's no problem. Here I'm going to write, this is the format. You will write, my name is Eric Marin, so I'm going to use E.Marin. So you're going to write the initial of your first name and you're going to write your surname. So in this case it would be, you start here on the type using the guideline top, E dot, and I write using capital letters, no small letters, everything is uppercase. And I'm sure you can recall the Gothic style. If you don't, then you have to go back and practice that in your free time. The scale here, you're going to write scale. This is very important. And scale is 1, 2, 1. Okay, the date today is the 14th, so you are going to write the day using the Gothic style of numbers 14 dash, because you're in September, so 09 dash 20. Okay, so far we have our name, scale, date, and the only thing that remains here is the main topic. This area is designated only for the topic. This does not deal with the subtopic. So we go right ahead and we see borderline and title box. Okay, and there we have it.